All right, so today we're diving deep into Rigetti Computing. They're making some serious waves in the quantum computing world. And we've got this really interesting report on their AI stock. I'm excited to break it all down with you.
What I find fascinating about Rigetti is they're not just dabbling in quantum computing, they're going all in. As a full-stack company, they're involved in every stage, from building the quantum chips themselves to developing the software that runs on them.
So they're controlling the entire process, like Apple does with their hardware and software.
Exactly. That kind of vertical integration gives them a huge advantage, especially in a field as fast-moving as quantum computing.
And speaking of advantages, I noticed the founder, Chad Rigetti, came from IBM's quantum computing team.
Oh yeah, he has a really impressive background. That definitely gives Rigetti some serious credibility in the industry.
Okay, so let's talk about some of their tech milestones.
One that really stands out is their 84-qubit processor.
Now, I know qubits are the fundamental building blocks of a quantum computer. But for those who might not be familiar, can you explain why 84 qubits is such a big deal?
Sure. Essentially, the more qubits you have, the more powerful your quantum computer becomes. It's like adding more lanes to a highway. You can handle much more traffic, or in this case, process more complex computations.
So Rigetti is at the forefront with this 84-qubit processor.
They are. And it's not just about the sheer number of qubits. Their processor also incorporates some really innovative features, like tunable couplers, which allow the qubits to interact in more sophisticated ways.
So it's about quality as well as quantity.
Precisely. And they've also implemented a square lattice design for their qubits, which helps minimize errors, a major hurdle in quantum computing.
So keeping those qubits organized is key.
Exactly.
Now, I also wanted to touch on their hybrid quantum classical platform.
That's a crucial part of their strategy.
It seems like they're acknowledging that quantum computers aren't meant to replace classical computers entirely.
Yeah, they're taking a more pragmatic approach, recognizing that certain tasks are still best handled by classical computers.
So it's about finding the right tool for the job.
Exactly. Their hybrid platform allows developers to seamlessly integrate quantum processors into their existing workflows.
That makes a lot of sense. And they've got partnerships with Amazon and Microsoft to provide access to their quantum processors through the cloud.
Yeah, those partnerships are huge. They're making quantum computing more accessible to a wider audience.
And speaking of accessibility, what about their use of AI for quantum calibration?
Oh, that's potentially revolutionary. Calibration is a complex process of fine-tuning a quantum computer. It's traditionally very time-consuming and resource-intensive.
So using AI to automate that process is a big deal.
It is. It could make their systems much more efficient and reliable.
Okay, so we've talked about their technology, their impressive partnerships, but now let's get to the financial side of things. What's the report saying about their performance?
That's where things get a little bit more complicated. Rigetti's financial performance reflects the challenges of being a pioneer in a cutting-edge field. Their Q3 2024 revenue was $2.4 million, a 23% decline year over year.
That's a pretty significant drop. What are some of the factors contributing to that?
Their revenue stream is heavily dependent on government contracts, and there have been some delays in U.S. federal funding.
So they're at the mercy of government budgets.
In a way, yes. But it's worth noting that they're actively working to diversify their revenue streams.
That's good to hear. And what about their profitability?
They're still operating at a loss. They reported an operating loss of $17.3 million, largely attributed to high research and development expenses.
So they're investing heavily in their future.
Exactly. It's a classic dilemma for companies in emerging fields. They need to spend big to stay ahead of the curve, but that can impact their bottom line in the short term.
It's a balancing act for sure. So investors need to carefully weigh the potential of their technology against their current financial realities.
Exactly. It's a high-risk, high-reward scenario.
All right, so we've talked about the tech, the partnerships, but now the big question, is Rigetti Computing a stock worth investing in?
It's not a simple answer. Like a lot of things in quantum, it depends
Okay, on what?
on your own personal risk tolerance and how long you're planning to invest for.
So you're saying this isn't a stock for everyone?
It's definitely not a low-risk investment. Investing in Rigetti is like investing in the future of quantum computing itself. It's still early days. There are no guarantees.
It's like investing in the internet back in the 90s.
Exactly. Huge potential, but a lot of uncertainty, too.
And we're seeing that uncertainty reflected in their stock price. It's been on a bit of a roller coaster ride.
Yeah. The hype around quantum computing has definitely played a role. Their valuation isn't entirely based on their current financials.
But they're making serious progress technologically.
Oh, absolutely. Their work on Fidelity, their hybrid computing platform, the AI-powered calibration, it's all very impressive.
But there's a lot of promise there.
There is. If they can execute on their plans, the potential upside is significant.
But we can't ignore the challenges.
Right.
Declining revenue, high cash burn rate, reliance on government contracts.
Those are all valid concerns.
And those government contracts can be unpredictable.
They can. Funding priorities can change.
Then there's the competition.
Right.
IBM, Google.
They're all vying for a piece of the quantum pie.
Rigetti's up against some heavy hitters. Their revenue for Q3 2024 was only $2.4 million, but they're valued at over $2 billion.
That's a pretty big disconnect.
What's going on there?
I think it's important to remember that we're talking about a really emerging field here.
Okay.
They also had a pretty significant operating loss this quarter.
Uh-huh.
It was $17.3 million,
Ooh.
which was driven by heavy investment in R&D,
Okay.
research and development, for all you listeners who aren't familiar with the term. They're also using a lot of stock-based compensation to attract top talent.
So they're giving employees stock options and stuff?
Exactly. Basically, they're giving employees a stake in the company's future.
Okay.
And I think it makes sense given their long-term goals.
Yeah, because they're aiming for 1,000 qubits by next year.
Ambitious, for sure.
And then 4,000 by 2026.
They've got about $93 million in cash on hand.
Okay. Well,
Which, based on projections, should fund their operations into Q3 2026.
it's not too bad, right?
Not at all.
Well-
Plus, they recently paid off a $10.5 million loan.
Yeah.
Which shows some financial prudence.
Makes them look a little bit more responsible.
Yeah, exactly.
But their stock performance, oh my gosh, this is like a roller coaster.
It's been a wild ride.
So their stock, RGTI, it's surged 223% this year.
That's a massive jump.
I know.
A lot of volatility.
Yeah, the 52-week range is crazy.
Yeah.
66 cents to over $11.
Wow.
So what are analysts saying about all this?
Analysts are predicting a 12-month price target of $3.50.
Okay.
Which is a pretty significant drop from where it is right now.
It is.
However, they're also giving it a strong buy rating.
Wait a minute. A strong buy, but the price is going to drop.
It seems contradictory, right?
What's going on?
It really comes down to Rigetti's current valuation.
Okay.
Their price-to-sales ratio is super high, like 115.78x.
What does that even mean?
So basically, it means investors are betting on massive future growth, not on what the company's earning right now.
Interesting. So it's all potential.
Exactly. High risk, high reward.
So let's talk about the bull versus bear case.
Okay, love that.
What are the bulls saying?
So the bulls are obviously super excited about Rigetti's technology. Plus, they've got these partnerships with AWS and Microsoft Azure, which are like huge, major players.
Yeah.
And those partnerships give them access to a massive customer base.
Okay.
And of course, they point to that cash reserve as a sign of stability.
What are the bears saying?
The bears are worried about a few things. They're worried about Rigetti's reliance on government contracts, because what happens if that funding dries up?
Right.
They're also concerned about those ongoing losses and the potential for future stock dilution.
Can you break that down? What does that mean?
Sure. So that's when a company issues more shares,
Okay.
which can decrease the value of the shares that existing investors hold.
What do you think people should be thinking about if they're thinking about investing in Rigetti?
I think the big question is, can they turn this technological lead into actual revenue and profits?
Yeah, that's a good point.
If quantum computing takes off, everyone's saying it's gonna.
Right.
Really could be a major player.
Yeah.
But if they stumble, or if the technology just doesn't work out, investors could lose big.
Yeah. Rigetti is such a fascinating case study in like this whole high stakes tech investing world.
It really is.
I would say if you're thinking about it, do your research.
For sure.
Weigh the risks and the rewards.
Yeah.
And just decide if you're willing to take that quantum leap of faith.
You got it. Thanks for having me. This was a great deep dive.
Yeah, this was fun. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
See you next time.